with Ashvin, who's the Chief Customer Officer at Gainsight. For those who don't know, Gainsight is also now a partner of the Product-Led Growth Hub, and we are going to be offering 4 free sessions to everyone that is registered to the PLG Hub Academy. Those are going to be Gainsight sessions. They include creating the ultimate PLG strategy, a product-led growth for B2B, tech touch onboarding, and how to drive sustainable adoption. So thank you guys for that. And they're going to be presented by all the leaders at Gainsight. And this will help ensure that you can learn from the best. So as I mentioned, our third session is an AMA with Ashvin, who's the Chief Customer Officer at Gainsight. And he's going to be sitting down with Despina, the founder of the PLG Hub, to discuss how organizations can fight churn and do more with less during this COVID crisis. Thank you guys so much for this.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Anne. Ashvin, welcome. It's a great honor to have you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, excited about this.
Okay, I think it's time we take over. Ashvin, for starters, I think that all the audience of ours crave to ask you many questions. We had many questions until we get there. We had a lot of feedback. And I think the first is that we would like to hear more about you and where you come from and your role and how diverse it might be, especially in those times.
Yeah, happy to talk about it. So quick background. So I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Gainsight. What that means for us is once a prospect becomes a customer, all the functions that work with our customers, that could be professional services, technical support, renewals, customer success management, operations, all of that stuff is all part of my charter. I've been at Gainsight now for 5 years, live in San Francisco with my wife and my 5-year-old, who is easily my toughest customer that I work with. And then prior to Gainsight was at McKinsey & Company, the consulting firm, for a few years. And then prior to that, several other marketing and sales roles. So generally I've been in customer-facing roles and some version of customer experience or marketing and sales. And so that's the general common thread. I also have the attention span of a mosquito, so I want to do new things every few weeks, years, months. And so like I've done a few different industries in banking, publishing, etc. And now at Gainsight, I'm excited about it.
It sounds like an exciting journey indeed, to be honest. I think that not a lot of people can take credit for such an experience, and we can move forward. And actually, I will go direct to the point and ask how customer success is now different in regards to what it was 2 months ago, 3 months ago. All the planet is in heavy recession right now. I mean, we don't really know when that will end. We pivot. I think we pivot per industry, we pivot per country. I mean, people really don't know how to react. And prior to me inviting you, I asked the community many times, what would you like to learn from us? And the number one word was always churn. Obviously, is not only a buzzword or a difficult word to pronounce and say, but it's also a pain point that nobody really knows how to manage right now. So any insight you can share with us, I'm sure they would be more than grateful.
Yeah, so specifically, like, what does CS mean in this post-COVID world? What customer success means? Is that the question, Despina?
Yes, how customer success has changed now that pretty much there is no standard in the industry, in any industry, in any country. Yeah. Not any country is stabilized, to put it that way.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, like, I think our CEO, Nick, summarized it well when he sent out this tweet that basically said, every CEO and CFO right now have a spreadsheet open of all the software spend that they have across the company. And then there is a line, and then you either as a software vendor are above that line and you stay because of adoption, experience, outcomes, etc., or you're below the line and you get chopped. Right? Like that's the reality today. Every decision is being made by CFOs and CEOs, regardless of who you are selling into in most companies. And in this market, basically during this downturn or during this COVID crisis, new sales for most companies, there are some companies that are doing well even on the new sales front, but most companies are seeing decline in new sales or new logos as they talk about it, because your buyers are slowing down on new decisions. Your existing customers, however, are scrutinizing what outcomes and experiences they've got from you as a vendor. Your existing customers are noticing who is there for them, who is going out of their way to help them in these times, etc. And your existing customers also need your help in these times because they are busy trying to save their own customers. And so anything that your software can do for them, anything that you can do for them and their teams in these times of crisis goes a long way. And your existing customers are also looking to consolidate their tech stack or their existing spend. If your software can do what some other softwares can do, in addition to what you do as your core competency, then your customers will want to try to consolidate, spend wherever possible. All that to say, if new business is slowing down and your customers need more help from you, you have your customer success teams and your customer success motions, whether that is a separate team or not, have a lot more role to play in today's times than they've ever been, right? So you want to retain as many customers as possible in this market, because that'll actually determine who stays in the longer run as a viable business and who continues to become extinct in that sense. And so CS is super important. At the same time, your CFOs or most CFOs are not letting you hire tons of people even for your CS motions, right? So you're kind of doing that balance of CS is most important. However, I'm not getting any more headcount or spend to put towards CS. So like the thing to solve for or to optimize for in this situation is how can you keep as much retention as possible while doing more with less, as was introduced at the beginning of this cycle. So how can you become more efficient? How can you stop doing certain things that were low value? How can you increase things that were high value? Many companies are also starting to think about bringing other teams. So for example, if new business is slowing down, your sales reps probably have more time that they could be spending with customers. So many companies like Dell Boomi, we are trying to do that internally at Gainsight as well, where your account executives or sales reps almost double down as customer success managers during this crisis. So you have more CSMs in the company, basically.
That is actually very flexible, to be honest, especially for such a large organization as Gainsight is, and with the customers you have. I mean, you have heavy enterprise, so this is not easy. I was wondering, I guess that now it's the time where customer success should be more empathetic than ever. I mean, it always has to be, but now even more. I was wondering, besides always being there, besides, trying to understand beforehand what's going to happen, how you can actually be proactive. I will insert some PLG elements here. Obviously, PLG relies on data. Customer success now needs to be heavy into data, customer data, and product data to be able to acknowledge what is going on. So being a company that is into product-led growth, what would you advise on customer success managers to become more proactive and actually, be there before the customers actually need them? Because I understand that being there and discussing things is one thing, but customers may have other concerns, for example, packaging, which is not actually customer success per se, but it's part of customer success to actually reassure the customer that we're here for you to do something better.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's a great question. Firstly, again, like tying it back to doing more with less, you don't have the capacity in your company to spread everyone across all customers. So step one is take a relook at your segmentation or categorization of customers. Like a simple thing that we recommend is bucket your customers into category 1, 2, and 3. Category 1 are your customers or verticals that are very severely negatively impacted during this crisis. And so it could be travel, it could be hospitality, it could be in-person retail, etc. Like those are typical industries that are getting pretty brutally impacted during this crisis. Other end of that spectrum is category 3. Those companies are doing exceptionally well. So those could be like the collaboration tools like Slack or Zoom, etc. And like security companies, because everyone is online right now. Like all of those industries are doing exceptionally well. And then you have the messy middle, which is category 2. The point there is for category 1, they may churn regardless of what you do. So even if you were proactive, there is very little that you might be able to do in those segments. So how can you take more of a digital first approach in those segments? Interact with, like, don't have your human beings, your CSMs or sales reps in category 1 customers, like only use either email automation or in-product engagement, in-product feedback to talk to them. And if they want to continue conversations, then you bring a human being into that conversation. Category 3, the companies that are doing really well and verticals that are doing well, it's less about a retention play. It's more of how can you collaborate with the sales team, with the product team within your company to drive expansion, right? So in those companies, let's start looking at which customers use your product data and product-led growth to then say, of the category 3 companies that are doing well, which ones are actually finding a lot of adoption of your product. Those are then the first people that you would go to and say, you're already getting value from my product. I would like to talk about like where else can we consolidate spend for you? What else can we do with you? Your other BUs doesn't seem to be using Gainsight or your software, and hence like you should be starting to do that. For category 3 companies that are not adopting your product well, again, coming from the product-led growth data, you can then say, can we invest professional services? Can we invest some technical resources to quickly get the customer to adopt the product some more in the next 2 months so that they can then become part of the expansion conversation, etc., that we have, because those companies are doing well. And so how can you invest the limited resources that you have to drive more expansion and drive more adoption within that space? Category 2, which is the messy middle, they're kind of doing okay. They're not doing great, but they're not doing too poorly either. Go to them and again, look at who's adopting your product, who has given really high net promoter scores, whether that's in app or by email, and then have those conversations for early renewals and early proactive renewals with those types of customers. And for the ones that are not getting value from you, drive the motions to actually get them to adopt. An example that we are doing internally, looking at that type of product data, is running hands-on webinars. So every other week, we are basically creating webinars for customers that are not adopting certain features. We'll invite those customers only to that particular webinar and show them live in the webinar how to use that part of the product better. And then we'll follow up with in-product surveys, in-product prompts to make sure that that customer is using that feature better than they did prior to that webinar. So those are ways that we collaborate with our product team, take the data, and then do different actions depending on whether the customer is adopting or not. Does that make sense, Despina?
Totally. I would say that I had 2 questions when you began, and now I have none because you answered before I even had the time to make it. So yes, it makes sense. My next question is, okay, everybody is remote now. Everybody have tools to collaborate. This is a transformation as well, because especially for enterprise, for example, this was not the case. They have like thousands of employees. Some other companies, they collaborate remotely, but they had some people laid off. So
right.
You, on the one hand, you have the remote first transformation. On the other hand, you have this transformation and perhaps less employees that deal with more tasks. again remotely, again being in a different mode, which, like it or not, we cannot get into day one. So I guess that from your experience, I would like to learn if you have anything to suggest or anything perhaps that customer success can do to help those organizations that have fewer people and have yet to actually give, again, the best results they can possibly do.
Yeah, totally. I think part of this is customer success needs to come back and tell the organization, whether it's the product team, engineering team, or other parts of the organization. Customer success can help in at least two ways. The first one is you still have several customers of yours that are doing really well and finding tons of value in your product and service. I think customer success teams can take that message to the rest of the organization. Otherwise, it feels like doom and gloom all the time, and everyone needs positive stories to come out of this. And so CSMs and CS teams should bring those positive stories to say, in these times, look at how our product is helping customers actually serve their customers in a much better way, right? So bring those positive stories, share that positive feedback with everyone in your company. I think that is a big part of what CS teams should do to keep the spirit up. And then the other thing that CS teams can do a lot more of is collaborating with the product team. So product has like a roadmap and they have tons of things to do. In these times, there might be certain things that CS teams are seeing firsthand in the field that they want to bring back to the product teams and make sure that those get prioritized in the roadmap. In like anything that helps remote workforce, anything that helps doing more with less. All of these types of things are feedback that the CS team can see firsthand with their customers, and they should bring that back to the product team on a regular basis. Even setting up like bi-weekly check-ins with the product team to say, here are our new learnings, if that helps you prioritize and feed into the product roadmap. So those are two very specific things that I can call out. In addition, obviously, teammates are going through a tough time. Like some people who never worked from home are now working from home. You have kids at home or family members at home, and you're trying to juggle work-life balance in the best possible way in these times, and productivity is a big challenge. So like one thing that we're doing, this is not CS team specific, but one thing we're doing at Gainsight is starting every morning with 15 minutes of something fun across the whole company. It's not mandatory. If you feel like joining, you join. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it. And it could be as simple as bringing your pets on the call or bringing your kids on the Zoom call, right? Like it's things that we're doing to just make sure that people are feeling supported, feeling heard, and bring a positive cheer to your daily life. So those are things that everyone should be trying